some people, a simple warning is never enough. By the time Alma heard it, it was too late. Something's out there in the woods, and it's killing people. Joni never thought it could happen to her. Ingrid and Peter couldn't believe it happened to them. Something's out there, waiting. Something a little bit wild and crazy. For some people, a simple warning is never enough. It's your decision. If you want it chopped off, just take it to the woods. Remember, the call of the wild is the last thing on earth you want to hear. Don't go in the woods. It's coming soon. For some people, a simple warning is never enough.
Hey, Toby.
What?
If you want it chopped off, take it to the woods.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. No, you don't go in the woods alone.
Oh. Welcome to episode 2 of What the Hell Did We Just Watch, everybody? I'm Jeff.
I'm Toby.
Before we get too far into anything, if any of you listened to episode 1, I would like to apologize for some of the audio quality. Still, ironing some things out and recording remotely. Hopefully it sounds a little better this week. Last week at times I sounded like I was in Guam with a bad AOL connection. So, well, I didn't have the AOL sound.
Yes, you did.
But I would kind of sound like I was talking and it was normal, and then I'd come back in. So hopefully none of that this week. Still get my coffee because I've smoked like a pack of cigarettes while we were getting ready to record this and dealing with technical issues. So
we started this at 11. It is 2:54.
But hopefully it sounds good.
But this is the way I like to kill my day off. So.
Fair enough. So Toby, did you have a good Christmas?
Oh, yeah. It was great. It was, Christmas.
I dropped the ball on this one. I was actually going to say, I'll just answer for Toby and be like, it's Christmas and I had to work when I wasn't supposed to and I hate my life. And yeah.
No, not this time. Sorry. Actually, I still haven't got paid for last week. So
here we go.
Yeah. Hope my boss doesn't listen to this.
Well, I opted out of holiday with family to sit on my couch and drink White Russians all weekend and watch a marathon of Dark Side of the Ring. So hope my family's not listening. There's some Keystone Light talking for you.
Yes, there is.
But yeah, it was a nice, relaxing Christmas. Hope everyone out there listening had a great Christmas too. I mean, I don't really celebrate Christmas, but happy holiday, whatever. Hope everybody had a good weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So today, what the hell did we just watch? We just watched Don't Go in the Woods Alone.
That is, yes. Alone. Not to be confused with 2011 pseudo remake.
With Vincent D'Onofrio?
I don't know. I didn't even look it up.
Vincent D'Onofrio is in a movie called Don't Go in the Woods, but I don't know that it's a pseudo remake, and I've never seen it.
Yeah, there's Peter Boghossian is in the one. You'd recognize him if you saw him. Yes,
I would.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
I know Eric Boghossian.
Do you?
Well, I don't know him, but I know who he is.
Right.
So this movie, Don't Go in the Woods Alone, 1981. Early on in the slasher era. It's not really a slasher movie. I mean, kinda, but not really.
Yeah. No.
It's more of a kids go in the woods to camp and stuff and fill in the blank. But they're not really kids.
4 friends go on to the woods for a nature hike.
Ooh, you should have done the voiceover for the trailer.
No, the trailers, I can't pause that long. Sorry. I gotta talk more.
Actually, the voiceover of the trailer is pretty amazing. This is gonna sound completely racist, but So every trailer of that era had a certain voice. Either the Hollywood movies had like the Hollywood guy, whose name I don't know off the top of my head, that did like every voiceover. And then low budget movies still had a guy who talked like this. And this, it was just like the director was like, hey, you're my black friend. Will you do the voiceover for this? So it sounds like Billy D. Williams or somebody's doing it. That's what it felt like to me.
Well, they couldn't get Billy D. Williams for that $20,000 budget that they used.
20,000. Still don't buy it. I know it was shot on film. I know that's expensive, but
that was a lot of lead-based red paint. All right, that's what I'm saying.
Fair. It's a fair statement.
A lot of lead-based red paint in that movie. All right.
All right. So this is our second episode. In the future, as this thing gets going, this is the point where we will we'll have like mail call, and anyone who has decided to like call in and leave us a voicemail or send an email. I mean, we'll be somewhat choosy, but where we'll go over things that people have told us. I'm only going to read "You guys suck" so many times. I'm not going to read it 15 times a week, but this is the point in future shows where we'll go through that kind of stuff. So once we get this up and going and you're listening and you follow us, on the social medias and whatnot, call, leave us a voicemail so we can do that at this point. That'll be fun.
But we will make fun of you.
Absolutely.
If you send "You suck" more than once.
I mean, we'll make fun of you regardless.
Yeah. Just once. That's all it takes.
So, yeah, that's pretty much the introduction to this movie. Unless Toby has something to add right now.
No, nothing at all.
We'll probably break at this point. Take a real quick break so Toby can go poop. And I can grab another Keystone Light.
Yeah.
And and we will be right back to talk more about the movie. Hey, Toby.
What?
What are you wearing?
You fucking pervert.
No, seriously, what are you wearing? Because I got this new shirt. It's got Jason with his hockey mask on it. It's all 80s looking, and it says TGIF. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. So, I've got my Atomic Cotton Near Dark shirt on.
Sweet. You got a new shirt from Atomic Cotton, too?
Yeah. Couldn't decide between the Near Dark or the Little Miss Risk one.
Yeah. They got lots of choices.
Oh, they do.
They even have masks.
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm going to get the Practice Safe Sex mask.
I'm thinking about the Don't Be a Dick mask.
Man. I'm thinking the Be Kind or Fuck Off mask.
That one's cool, too. So, hey, you. Yeah, you. Out there on the information superhighway. Head over to atomiccotton.com and get some new shit for you. This sweetens the deal a little bit. Use promo code WTH30. Tell them we sent you and get 30% off. That way you can afford to get both t-shirts and a mask. Atomiccotton.com makes badass clothes for badass people. Can't get this shit at Hot Topic? Just go over to atomiccotton.com and get your new wardrobe today. Just use promo code WTH30 at checkout to receive 30% off your entire cart.
That's right. You'll be one of the cool people.
Like us. AtomicCotton.com. Check them out. There we go. Okay, Toby. You're a much more diligent viewer and note taker than I am. I'm just kind of the comedic relief that adds all the crass comments. So why don't you give us like synopsis of a plot for this movie?
Okay, here's what I got. Young campers trek through the mountains while someone is slaughtering tourists in the dense forest.
Woo! I think that pretty well sums it up.
Sums it up right there, man.
I mean, there's some things. We'll get into this. I'm so conflicted about this movie, but there's some things under the surface that I don't know if it was intentional or not in 1981. Like, there's some stuff here to talk about, but as far as an actual plot, yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
I mean, it's way shorter than the Wikipedia one. That's all I'm telling you.
I want to hear the Wikipedia one.
Oh, no, I don't have that much time. Uh,
What's Wikipedia say the budget was for this movie?
150,000.
Yeah, fuck Wikipedia. That's
Hey,
bullshit.
somebody put that in there. And by the way, go donate your money to Wikipedia so that, we can keep getting this bad information from people.
I mean, if they keep putting information like that this movie was shot for $150,000, I'm not donating anything. Unless they're going to donate one of our movies was shot for that. At which point I would also call bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, $20,000 being generous for our movies.
We can make a blockbuster for $20,000.
No shit. Don't Go in the Woods was released regionally in the United States, opening in 6 theaters in the Salt Lake City area.
6 theaters all in Salt Lake City area?
Yeah, pretty much.
There's 6 theaters in Salt Lake City? Like, I didn't think they allowed music and movies. Whoa, was that a dog?
That is a dog. That is our little rat. And then it subsequently opened a week later in Provo, Utah.
Wow. So it's not out of the question to say this is kind of a Mormon slasher movie, which actually explains a lot.
I don't even know what it would explain.
I mean, it would explain the lack of sex in the movie, for one thing.
Yes.
Which we can get into later. I have things to say, but it would explain, like, really, aside from the gore, which is very hit or miss, otherwise this is a very PG. Like, if this movie were made now, it would be PG-13 easily, maybe PG.
Oh yeah, you could let your 7-year-old watch this and they'd be like, "Oh look, somebody spilt paint."
Right. I mean, there's a couple of weird, perverse things, but really, for the most part, this is a pretty tame movie on the slasher scale.
All right. Yes.
All right, so I'll let you start taking us through the movie, and I'll just jump in when I feel that I need to.
Okay. Opening credit music. Nothing from you? Okay.
Well, hold on. I seem to recall the opening credit music was like weird, crazy, spooky synth music, right? Or just maybe that's right. So that music's cool. I will say, like, the opening of this movie, I had a lot of high hopes. Like, it starts out like a good, solid, scary, in the woods slasher movie.
Right. It's got the girl running through the woods being chased by a killer. Obviously falls in a creek. Wasted moment, white t-shirt, wasted moment. But she looks like a camper lost in the wood. Like there was an actual camp or something somewhere.
Right. There's a camera discarded in the creek, like somebody was killed and dropped a camera.
Yeah, it was just a little Kodak thing, not any big expensive camera. And then I don't know what else. Pieces of fluff from sleeping bag and ripped clothing hanging on a tree and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a nice intro to a scary movie. And then we get, as soon as she dies, we go right to a bird watcher that looks like a 22-year-old guy. They put a fake mustache on and said, "Wear these clothes from 1962 because you're an old man that likes bird watching."
Yeah, this is where we start to get into my love-hate relationship with this movie, because it's so uneven. You'll see as we go on, the tone is so uneven. Like, there's a moment that's actually really very suspenseful, and really, I mean, not that the girl running was super suspenseful, but it was a good opening to a horror movie. And you felt like, oh my God, this girl's running. Somebody's gonna kill her. It's probably somebody really scary. The music was creepy. And then, like, the next second, there's awful, cheesy music and this dude.
And we have to go over the cheesy music happens over and over and over. What we need is, I can't even explain it because you got the cheesy music.
Do you want to
I
hear a
mean-
little clip of the music?
Yeah, we need a clip of the music.
Yeah,
right
let's pause for a moment to hear a clip of some of the cheesy music. Okay, so you get an idea of the cheesy music. Now let's hear like the creepy synth music in the beginning of the movie. Okay,
And
so that's like the scary music.
Right, yeah, and that's the way it should be. But when my 8-year-old can go out and pound on a keyboard and make stuff just as good, why does this guy get credit in the movie?
Yeah, I mean 100%. Any horror filmmakers out there that want creepy synth music, I'll do it super cheap. I can do it. I have the ability to do. I'll send you like free shit to listen to. Like I'll do it. I'll do it for like a 30-pack of Keystone Light.
I'm just gonna say, you look it up on Google, and the music composed by is right there. It's like directors, producer, music composed by H. Kingsley Thurber. You disappointed. Sorry, sir.
I also feel like that's not a real name.
Well, it's probably the guy who wrote the damn thing who isn't even listed. Oh, Garth Eliason.
Also not a real name.
Well, James Bryan and brother Bryan were the directors. His brother didn't even want his name in it, I guess. It's like, no, I'm your brother, man. Just put that down.
But brother, it's fine. I don't want my real name on this.
Uh,
All right, so okay, we've dwelled on the music for a little bit.
so as of last week's movie, Night of the Demon, we the first thing that happened was a guy gets his arm cut off. Guess what? First thing that happens, the guy gets his arm cut off. Well,
You're gonna be happy with this because you were so angry. You were so angry about the arm being cut off in Night of the Demon. I wish I would have said something on the episode, but I'm like, God, Toby's really pissed.
it was
This arm that's cut off is spurting blood, but not the actual shoulder itself. He's so angry.
Yes. I mean, come on. Nothing pumps blood like that. Sorry. That's the oozy blood. The pumping blood comes from the shoulder. But when you cut it off at the shoulder, and then you still have half an arm left, yeah. I mean,
So this one spurted from the shoulder. I immediately thought Toby will be much happier with this movie.
Right, and I was. Because they got rid of the freaky, creepy, damn bird watcher guy.
Quickly.
Who I think shows up as later in the movie, but not as a bird watcher, as somebody else.
Interesting. So, I mean, let's just take a moment to say anybody in this movie other than our four leads, Ingrid, Craig, Peter, and Joni.
Joni, yeah.
And then the sheriff and the deputy sheriff. Other than those people, nobody in this movie lasts very long or even needs a name.
Well, the doctor at the end.
Doctor, I wrote her name down. I don't know where it's at. We'll get to that as well, because this feeds into something that I have to say about this movie that I don't know that was intentional. But go ahead with the plot.
Oh no, yeah. Well, so we're we the bird watcher's dead, but this is what I read. I mean, there are just random tourists all over these woods. We have a maniacal killer in the woods. And by the way, the police don't give a rat's ass.
Right. And to backpedal, like, that's what I thought watching this a second time was this forest seems really fucking populated for woods where a random weird dude in the woods is killing people. It seems busy. It seems very populated.
Right. And I wrote this down as the photographer guy who wanted to get to the top of the hill and take a picture of the mountain. And I thought it was his girlfriend or wife that was trailing behind him.
I'm thinking mom.
Credits say mom.
Oh, really? I didn't watch that. I mean, I listened to the credits. We'll talk about that later. But I didn't watch the credits that closely at the end. However, Angie Brown's in this movie, clearly, because her name is in a box in the opening credits, and it says and
Angie Brown. It's in a box in the closing credits too, in the list.
So I can only assume like Angie Brown was banging the director.
Or his brother, one of the two.
So yeah, I didn't see that in the ending credits, but I thought like this dude's bird watching with his mom. Well, no, I guess
because she not the bird watcher.
Oh, no, not the bird watcher. Sorry, the photographer. Yeah. Bird watcher was by himself. The photographer. I was like, I feel like they should be a couple, but she looks like 50 years older than him. So he just dragged his mom up this mountain to photograph stuff. And she's just yelling at him. And he's just like, fuck you. And leaves you behind and climbs up the mountain.
And well, the other thing about it is there's like a sign. He's like, I'm going to go up this way. And there's a sign that I caught part of that. It says, please stay on path, but he decides to climb up these rocks.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I did catch, I'm going to get a picture of the train coming in. It's going to be great.
Oh, yes, the train. Yes.
That we never see.
or hear, or they don't put trains through ski resorts.
And apparently, I didn't realize it was a ski resort.
Right.
You brought that to my attention. I was like, wait, ski lodge? What are you talking about? Because there's no snow.
There is no snow. Yes, but there's a lot of rock. There's oh my gosh, yeah. This movie moves so fast. But okay, so we've done we missed the open. We missed our main characters intro. The group of four. Craig is obnoxious fucker.
Jesus.
Well, I'm surprised.
Rule number one, don't panic.
And it's hillbilly Southern first, and then it goes to some Australian, and then
we'll get into that more later too, because halfway through the movie, like I didn't notice it early on, but halfway through the movie, I'm like, when did Peter become Australian? The whole movie's overdubbed. For the most part, by the way, I think like all the main characters, at least, like they all sound overdubbed.
And I'm having a problem with the movies we're getting, just for the fact that I'm listening to them in my headphones, and it sounds the movie I'm getting in my ears looks completely different than the movie I'm watching.
I mean, if you don't have a problem with the movies we're doing, we're not doing the right movies.
Oh. I got lots of problems. So yeah. And I'm really disappointed with the world because all the IMDb reviews for this saying it's like 1 star and there's not a good looking woman in the whole movie and everybody's ugly and da da da. And I'm just like, it's a fucking movie, people. Not everybody's pretty. All right.
Well, I mean, so that brings us to something. It's the early 80s and the early slasher era. And typically there are like really gorgeous women who get naked and have sex just, to be fed to the beast, so to speak, and killed. And this movie doesn't have that.
Okay, yes. Compared to other movies, yes, I get you. But I don't know what everybody's problem was. It's like, that's really what you're worried about? I mean, because there's way more problems than that.
Oh, totally. And it's worth saying, this movie's kind of a cult classic.
It was banned in the UK.
Oh, is it one of the video nasties?
Yes, it is one of the video nasties.
Oh, I didn't realize. I mean, I didn't realize that, but the final scene when we get to it is pretty it's pretty brutal.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I don't even know where to go. So let's move on.
Yeah. No, we
Because-
have the we had the photographer, the birdwatch photographer.
We've
We've
got
met
creepy.
Craig.
We got creepy Craig. We've got Peter, who's like doesn't know how to put on a fucking backpack and
Right,
just
well,
like, flinging it around for miles.
And to backpedal, Craig is creepy.
Craig is creepy.
I'm really confused about the entire dynamic of our main group of people.
Craig and Joni don't look like a couple, but they are a couple.
I don't know.
Ingrid and Peter. Ingrid's so upset that Peter runs off later by himself in the movie.
Like Ingrid maybe has a crush on Peter.
Yeah.
But how did these people come together? At first, on the first viewing, I was like, oh, it's a family. Like Craig's the dad. And
played by a 23-year-old. Peter's the oldest son, 29.
But they seem like a family. They don't seem like two couples. It's a weird dynamic. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the dynamic of our lead characters. I don't get it.
Right. Yeah. And that's the biggest problem with this movie. But I don't even know who named these characters because it's like Peter, Joni, Craig, and Ingrid.
It's like you named them from an 80s sitcom.
Pretty much, yeah. Ingrid's the housekeeper. But not the actress I had in mind.
Right. I mean, it's one of many problems of this movie. And again, at the end, I'll go into what problems I have with it because I'm so conflicted. I love the bad movie aspects of it, but I also love the moments where it's actually a good scary movie. I'll elaborate more on that later. But yeah, one of many problems is the dynamic between the leads are so confusing. And there's no real development for them. Like we don't know a fucking thing about them except like this weird group of people are in the fucking woods together, and I don't know if they're banging or if they're family.
Yeah, not college students, roommates.
I don't know.
Put out there on a dare to be with Craig for 4 days. Who knows?
Which is frightening in and of itself. Because fuck Craig.
It's like, hey, we'll give you guys $100 a piece if you can spend the weekend with Craig in the woods.
I mean,
well, I'm not going alone, so sure, why the hell not?
I mean, for $100, I would chance it, but goddamn, Craig's creepy.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go that far in the woods.
Alone. Don't go in the woods alone with Craig.
Oh, geez. All right. On that note, we're going to take a break.
All right, we're both gonna pee our pants laughing, and we will be back momentarily.
Ow. Ow. All right, we're back, and I think we lost track of time, and don't go in the woods alone with Craig, damn it.
Because Craig's creepy.
So, going back to my earlier statement of random tourist in the woods, this is like Grand fucking Central Station of any deserted forest in the world. The photographer guy, we forgot to tell you this, he's killed, thrown over a waterfall, lands on the rocks about 10 feet above these people's heads, and it's two girls and a guy sitting there splashing water at each other
like 5-year-olds in a wading pool.
Did we tell you this guy was wearing a fluorescent pink shirt? There's no way you could miss this out in the middle of fucking nowhere. But he's bloody, pink shirt, laying on the rocks, and these people are like, oh nope, let's go have our picnic now. They don't even notice it.
And it's a long shot. Like it's a lot. Like it's a
Oh.
long lingering shot of just his bloody body laying on the rocks, and they're just playing in the water like nothing. Nobody ever looks over.
Oh, they're looking right at him, but they don't look over. They don't see.
Right.
That's the problem with the world in 1981. They didn't see.
And then mom is just like, we never see mom killed.
Yeah, we do. Well,
I mean, we don't see her attacked initially.
Right.
But then she's on the ground, like clawing her way forward, and then just gets dragged away.
Oh my God, this is going to be way too long. If we don't, we gotta straighten our thoughts up, people. So now we're just going to move right
Focus.
on. We're going to move right on to the classic couple, Cherry and Dick.
Well, no, we get the sheriff first. We get the police station first.
Oh, really?
The sheriff who doesn't want to be disturbed.
The sheriff who doesn't want to be disturbed, and the deputy's like, "We're the deputies. We'll take care of everything outside the city limits. You guys take care of what happens in the city."
The secretary tells like 3 people, like, the sheriff doesn't want to be disturbed. And then the deputy finally goes in, and he's like playing putt-putt in his office.
Yes. Oh, but the completely southern secretary in Park City, Utah. All right, just saying.
Right? Yeah. No. Knowing that it's from Utah, there's a disturbing amount of fake southern accents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the sheriff, I have to say, bears a striking resemblance to the mayor in The Toxic Avenger. Big dude, mustache, kind of an idiot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kind of looks like Herb from friggin' Night of the Demons too, but
so Herb makes the rounds.
Sorry, fat guys with mustaches, you've been typecast.
So we get the sheriff and the deputy. We introduce the deputy and the sheriff, who are important later on in the movie. Everybody else in that scene, who gives a fuck? But so we introduce the deputy, who seems to be like the good cop, and the sheriff, who just wants to play putt-putt in his office. And there's a little interchange there, I think, about people missing in the woods. Maybe this comes later. I don't remember.
That was it. That was the first time. Yeah.
Okay. And he's like, hell, half these people shouldn't be in the woods anyway.
Yeah. Because there's no snow on the ground and you're at a ski resort. All right.
In a super populated forest with a killer.
That's right. But everybody knows where this, we haven't got that far.
And then
that was a cliffhanger.
Wait, do we get to go with roller skates before?
No, that's no. Cherry and Dick have to die.
Well, they do.
They do.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. So Cherry and Dick, it's the closest to a gratuitous sex scene you get, but it's
No. I'm gonna stop you, because I have noted, and I did this chronologically as the movie was playing.
What?
The sheriff comes out of the sheriff's office and runs into a girl on roller skates in the woods, going into the mountains.
Okay.
And then she skates away. And he's like, "It's going to be one of those summers."
Was that it? Really? Okay.
Yeah. No, that all happened before Dick and Cherry.
I mean, it's so confusing because they filmed half of it in the daytime and the other half at night, and then intercut the scenes. So.
Right. Well, because then we cut back to our main people at a campfire telling a spooky story.
The main people are so friggin' boring until the last third of the movie.
Right.
And Craig's dead by then. Spoiler alert.
Well, they tell a campfire story and spooky stories, and then there's animal calls. They seem like not animal calls, but are never addressed again.
Yeah.
And then
what was that?
Then we go to Dick and Cherry, and I'll let you take it from here.
Oh, Dick and Cherry, yes, the newlyweds. The Dick is like 72 years old. All right, a really good shape 72, but he's like 72.
He's not that old.
All right.
But he's not young.
He's not young.
Neither is Cherry.
Well, Cherry's not young either, but
They're
looks like a
38-year-old newlyweds.
But Cherry looks like a man. I thought it was a lesbian couple in this band when it first started.
That nose.
So
that
I was
schnoz.
so anyway, I got to go with the they must have met in the parking lot of a strip club because Dick's VW van has a Farrah Fawcett poster on the ceiling above the bed.
And Just Married is spray painted on the side of the van. It's
side
not like
of
a banner. It's spray painted.
Spray painted in black down this pinkish, salmon color VW bus. Yes. Dingleberries hanging down the strip,
Oh,
down
yeah.
the side, down the roof.
Yeah.
Beaded curtain in between the bedroom and wait, there's actually a bedroom in this small of a thing.
It's a shag and wagon.
And so we've got Cherry on top of Dick, and he's like, "Oh, it's okay, honey. It happens all the time. It'll work eventually." I mean, it's today's topic in 1981: erectile dysfunction.
Should we pause for an ad here?
No,
Can we do an ad for erectile dysfunction?
no,
medicine?
oh well. I'm down for it. Anybody out there? It's cheap to get on our show.
Yeah. I drink Keystone Light. I'm a cheap date.
And we've already made fun of Mormons, so I guess I'm not getting any Diet Pepsi. All right.
We're not making friends.
And I really think the reason Dick couldn't get it out is because she was blocking his view of the Farrah Fawcett poster on the ceiling.
It's possible.
All right.
I mean, I don't want to be judgmental, but if I were to cast this movie, I would have cast someone else in
Gary
Cherry's
Busey.
role. The dude kind of reminded me of Gary Busey, actually.
Gary Busey as Dick.
Right. But I totally would have cast somebody, I'm trying to be sensitive, but I would have cast someone that maybe the camera liked more as Cherry.
Chris Pine and drag.
Divine.
Russell Brand. Anybody with less facial hair than her.
Okay. All right.
I have a list, Jeff.
Let's continue.
Lloyd Kaufman. Lloyd. We want to remake this movie.
Yeah.
You could
Lloyd's
play
gonna be Cherry.
He could play Cherry and Dick.
Yeah.
Boom.
Good.
That's a winning scene right there. That is like a movie. Cherry and Dick on the road. That is a movie.
All right, Lloyd. Uncle Lloyd, we have mutual friends. So if you're listening, call me.
No. All right. So Cherry hears some noise outside. Blah blah blah. Dick's like yelling. I don't even know what he's yelling. Not yet. Not that one yet. We both wrote down We both wrote down the same damn line.
Oh, I'm sure we did.
We're not even in the same room. I can't even see his notes. I'm like 25 miles away from him, but I know he wrote down. We know he wrote that line down.
Yeah, we know we both wrote that line down.
So yeah, it's the only quote I've written down in 2 movies. So he actually goes, "Get the key. His gun's in a lockbox." What? Responsible gun ownership in a horror movie? No.
He's not that responsible. Because he gets the gun out and he's like, I'll show them. That peeping Tom's gonna be the one that pays.
Well, and let's see. He goes into the woods and he's yelling, "Come out." And he switches from Australian to Welsh to Southern Missouri.
Oh, Dick does? I didn't notice that. He wasn't in the movie long enough for me to notice the change in his.
It's like every
patterns.
insult he yelled at the peeping Tom came out in a different accent. Like, yeah, you're just some guy in the woods. Use whatever accent you want.
Can we talk? Can we talk about it? Can we talk about the quote?
All right. And then he yells,
"Come out, you pencil dick geek!"
Yes. But every insult, every quote Jeff wrote down comes out in that same accent that Jeff used.
Poor
Cherry. Dick.
Oh, Dick.
Dick.
Dick, are you okay? Dick.
Where are you, Dick?
Dick. Dick. I lost count of how many times Cherry said the word dick.
I didn't even attempt it. Sorry.
I tried. I lost count. And I was not drunk. I totally lost count. Other than, Dick, my head's just not in the right place. Other than that, her only dialogue in the movie is, Dick.
Dick.
Dick. You okay, Dick? Dick.
Come back, Dick. Oh, holy cow. Well, needless to say, Dick eats it in the woods. And van scene, if you remember from Night of the Demons, and this movie was actually compared to Night of the Demons in one of the reviews.
Really?
On Amazon, just randomly. I was like, holy shit, these people watched these back to back, didn't they?
Because I'm not gonna lie, like, we were talking before recording, and I was like, wait, so I need clarification. Did this happen in this movie? Because I feel like I might be getting it confused with Night of the Demon or some other shitty movie of the era that I watched in the same time period.
Right. And now Cherry locks herself in the van.
With the door that won't shut. It's hard to shut that door.
Well, it shuts when they bring the camera inside. But it doesn't shut like 3 times prior. And then she doesn't even lock it. So I don't know what she was hoping for. But so she's in the van. All of a sudden, there's noises outside, and smash! There's Dick smashed up against the window. Where did we see that from? Night of the Demon.
And can I just say, in my notes, I literally just has Cherry says Dick a lot. And lot is underlined like 12 times.
A lot. So maybe it was like 12 times then. Or did your pen run out of ink on that one?
It's hard to tell.
Man,
it's hard for me to count above 12.
So basically, I didn't write anything down with the main 4 characters or the sheriff and the deputy because they're useless. I just want the kills. And there are 13 kills in this movie.
Oh, you counted?
No, I didn't. I watched a video.
Okay. Well, I say at the end,
YouTube's great, man.
At the end, when the cops go in, they're like 6 so far. So I'm like, yeah, there's a pretty good body count in here.
6 so far, yeah.
They hadn't found 6 people,
right?
But they were like 6 so far. So all right, so we spent like 25 minutes talking about Cherry and Dick.
Did we? Oh, wow.
So now we're back to our main people.
I was gonna say the power just went out at my house, and
for real?
Yeah, now it's back.
Oh, okay, cool. So we're back.
Interesting.
And Peter runs out ahead of everybody, and a hiker scares him, and it's a big, huge to do.
Oh, yeah.
He runs back,
crybaby Peter.
Out. Yeah, he runs back, freaking out, and they all laugh at him. And the hiker comes through, and he's like, "Fuck." And there's like a really long Shatner pause because nobody knows what to say.
What? I don't even know what you're talking about. The hiker.
Yeah. Peter runs out ahead of everybody, and then he thinks somebody's stalking him, and he runs back to the group.
Oh, okay.
And the hiker comes out, and he's like, "Oh, yeah."
And
they all make fun of him
for being scared of the hiker in the woods. Yeah.
I think I skipped ahead, though. I think that the lady painting in the woods came before that.
Oh, yeah, because... Oh, man.
This is weird.
Yeah, she's out in the woods. She's down by the creek. Oh, wait, she's out in the woods. Duh. But she wasn't alone.
Alone. Well, kind of.
No, she was not alone. She had a toddler.
In a makeshift like
Bouncy seat. Bouncy seat.
a MacGyvered swing bouncy seat thing.
Yeah.
And she has her own like craft studio set up in the woods off the
She
main
has an
trail.
she's got an easel and watercolor painting. The way it was the worst scene to ever paint because it was just like a bunch of trees. She's not a great artist.
Neither are the filmmakers. It's okay.
But she's out there with her. She's got her car. There's like a trail with 2 tire tracks, and it's all right there. Like we drove my car right up to this spot, set up the baby with the picnic and blah blah blah. And I'm gonna
then
go
set up my painting area like 25 feet away from the baby in the woods.
But she could see the baby from the painting area.
Maybe
She could. They did that. They did that look because the baby saw her mom get killed.
All right. Still a ways. Like, I'm not a parent, but if I were, I would not take a toddler into the woods in the middle of nowhere, put them in a jury-rigged bouncing seat, and then jaunt off 10, 20 feet into the woods to paint something while not watching them.
Right. Well, I wouldn't have taken my kids anyway.
Right. And I'm not a parent, and that's my point of view. So, but I digress. I mean, we have to have something to fill time in the movie. So we have this.
So my whole thing with it was I wrote down, are they going to kill a toddler? I mean, everybody else has died in this movie so far. So the mom dies, stabbed in the back multiple times on her painting.
Through the canvas.
Through her back, through her stomach, through the canvas. Not. We didn't cover any of that up.
Baby's just watching.
Baby's watching. Mom's dead. They see the baby. Then all of a sudden, you don't. The baby's gone. Nobody knows where the fucking baby went. The baby never shows back up. Baby doesn't show up at the sheriff's office asking where her mom's at. Nothing.
Well, I don't want to jump ahead and spoil the end, but baby shows back up.
Does it?
Mm-hmm. Maybe you fell asleep again.
I did not fall asleep during this crappy movie.
Okay, so I just spoiled the end of the movie, kind of. But
I don't know.
Baby does show back up.
Okay.
But
all right.
But if you don't want it to be ruined, forget that part.
So after the artist gets killed, we got I can't even see my notes now because I'm in the dark.
All right. Well, then Peter gets scared by the hiker.
Peter gets scared by the hiker.
I got my notes out of order.
Whiny crybaby. Blah.
Yeah, he takes off on his own. They're all like, "Oh, Peter," and Craig's like, "He'll be fine."
Right.
So then we have a fisherman killed.
No, you have the sleeping bag desk because you admitted to going and.
Yeah. So that's where that comes in. I did get up and go microwave some veggie dogs during the movie, and apparently during that minute and 30 seconds, we have a new kill scene.
Which is basically a couple that are in separate sleeping bags that the killer there's no buildup. It's like, where are you going? Well, he's being dragged off by the killer. The killer drags him out. I guess they were in a tent. I don't know.
On my first viewing, I remember thinking like there's a ton of fucking people in this movie that literally there's no less lead up and backstory to than a Friday the 13th movie. It's just like all of a sudden, boom, here are these people, boom, they're dead.
Yeah. I mean, Cherry and Dick got the best of it. I mean, they had
clearly because we talked about them forever.
They had 4 minutes, man. 4 out of 122 minutes. Or 82 minutes.
122. No, it wasn't that long.
82 minutes. An hour and 22. Yes. I just put all the ones together. All right. So basically the killer drags the guy out in a sleeping bag, drags the girl out, pulls her tight and closes her in the sleeping bag and hangs her from a tree like a pinata,
It
and
was almost erotic the way you said that.
like a what?
Pulls her tight,
Oh.
strap in the tree,
Puts her up in the tree.
like
Hangs
a, like a pinata.
her. Oh. Oh my God! No, we're not doing this again. Um, so, with his machete on a stick, he stabs her multiple times, and then he goes over to the other sleeping bag and starts stabbing through it
I assure
randomly
you,
until eventually he slices the throat of the only black person to die in this movie.
who I'm guessing also did the voiceover for the trailer. I also assure you, our joking around makes this much more sexual than the movie actually is.
There's absolutely nothing.
There is nothing sexual about this movie whatsoever.
No. I don't know. The killer's kind of hot. I don't know.
Yeah. Dark
Man.
Alley after 10 Keystone Lights.
So after the sleeping bag deaths, because Peter's out in the woods sleeping by himself, has a fire, everything. He's out in the morning, pissy, picking up firewood, and sits down and the killer's stalking him. And Peter hides underneath the little outcropping of rock by the creek. And the fisherman walks up, and I guess the fisherman sees the killer above him because the fisherman's standing on the rock above Peter's head.
Yeah, this scene's actually scary.
And then Peter like waves to the guy, and the guy's like, "What?" Because he didn't see Peter; he saw the guy on top.
Right. No, this is actually a well-composed, scary scene because Peter's there and he's just waving like, "Hey," and the dude looks above Peter, and Peter's like, "What the fuck?" And this killer's like up above him. Peter doesn't know it. It's actually a very well shot, scary scene. It's really good.
No. And then the killer doesn't know Peter's below him.
Right.
So what was it? It was a little trap where they
like it swings at him, right?
It swings down at him, like hits him in the face.
It's like a pendulum kind of trap, like a weird. I imagine like they made shit like that in Vietnam kind of trap.
I thought it was like a spike that came down and hit him in the head, but then it was like a bear trap around his head because he was still moving his mouth and talking. And then it lifted him off the ground a little.
Right.
And that's when the killer runs down and stabs it. Peter lets out his girly shriek and takes off running again.
Right.
All right. We'll keep you up to date on the main characters, but they're not any good.
Okay, well, so now we go back to the main characters.
Oh,
because Joni plays the joke on Craig, and I'm not 100% sure what it was because I think I left the room to go pee and came back.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Joni, what'd she do to him?
I don't know, something that made him mad.
Yeah.
Like snapped his finger in something.
Oh, the rabbit trap. Yeah. She pulled the little string and dropped the rock on his hand.
Right. And he got really pissed.
Well, and then she walked up and like pounded it with her fist while he was like, ah. It's like
fucking Joni.
You just dropped a 20-pound rock on my finger and now you come up and hit it?
God damn it, Joni.
So, yeah. So Ingrid is all worried about Peter being out in the woods alone with the same cup of coffee for like hours, I'm assuming.
Which is weird because I've had like 4 beers in the last 30 minutes. So I don't know how 1 cup of coffee can last that long.
So she did that. What else was there?
Well, this is where shit gets weird with Craig and Joni.
Craig's like, hey, I'll go wake her up. I owe her one anyway.
Right. Yeah. It's the next morning.
That's the most sexual thing in the movie right there.
Right. And it's the next morning. And Ingrid's all, Peter. And then says something about Joni. He's like, I'll go wake her up. I have a score to settle. And then shit gets really fucking weird.
Because he grabs her in her sleeping bag, ties the top off, and hangs her from a tree. And we already know that's one of the killer's things. He likes killing women hanging in trees and sleeping bags.
Right. Is Craig the killer? Is Creepy Craig the killer?
It's Creepy Craig the killer, yes.
But even worse is what Craig says.
Okay.
He says, say uncle. Say uncle, you bag of bitch.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that whole scene. And then starts like poking her with a stick.
Right. And she's she's irritated, so she rips a hole into her sleeping bag.
Understandably.
And says, stop it, there's somebody out there.
Right, because she can see through this little hole in her sleeping bag that there's like a weirdo in the woods. And he's just still poking at her, calling her a bag of bitch.
All right.
Just fucking weird. I'm just going to start saying that. I'm just going to start saying that to people. You fucking bag of bitch. And see what somebody in public says to me. When I go to the gas station and Sam's like, hey, Jeff, how's it going? I'm going to be like, all right, you bag of bitch. How's it going?
Oh, there you go. I don't even know what to say about that. All
right. Well, I digress.
Yeah, you digress way too far.
So
crap.
He's
I'm out of notes, actually.
So he's poking at her with a stick. Creepy, crazy looking guy is out in the woods. So she's trying to warn him. And Craig gets fucking killed.
Yeah.
Craig gets his. Joni rips her way out of the sleeping bag and runs off.
Yes. And Craig gets killed. That was the best part of the movie. Thank you. Good night. Boom.
Right. Drop the mic. So Peter's still off in the woods by himself.
Yeah.
What's in my notes here?
I don't even know.
So Peter, my notes say Peter finds other girl because I didn't realize her name until later in the movie. But Ingrid finds Peter.
Right.
Peter finds Ingrid. Peter finds his way back to the camp and finds Ingrid in the camp, like in a tent. And she's like, oh my God, you're okay. Blah, blah. So they take off together. They find a cabin.
Right.
All of a sudden, Peter's Australian, which I didn't notice earlier in the movie. But all of a sudden, he kind of talks like this. I didn't notice it earlier.
Well, it goes back and forth. It goes in and out.
So they see a cabin, and it's like a really spooky looking cabin I would not suggest one go in.
Yeah, cabin in the woods. Why would you do it?
Right. So they go in the cabin and they're looking around and he's like, see if there's some fucking food. We can't stay here very long. They set off a trap and they find Craig's body.
Right.
And then they take off running again.
So they end up staying the night in the woods.
Right. There's a random hiker who is just walking along and says, what's that? And finds like the killer's walking stick in a bush. And it's like, I guess I'll take this.
That's right. Because it's jingly jangly and spurry.
Right. Which comes in later. And then Peter winds up hearing him coming as they're hiding in the woods and winds up killing him.
Because he's hearing the bells from the stick.
And he kills him and he's like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So sorry. He says, I'm sorry like 17 times.
And then a spear flies in and hits the hiker from behind.
Right. And then a rock, I think, hits Ingrid in the head.
I think those were all really lame-ass spears that would not fly that straight.
Probably. But like a rock or something hits Ingrid in the head and she's bleeding and he's like, oh, let's run. And they run.
Oh, no. He's after you, Ingrid.
Yes.
No, he's trying to kill all of you. He's throwing pointed sticks from 20 yards away at you.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He wants
to kill everybody.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He wants to kill everybody.
I mean, he already hit the guy that's dying. All right.
So now we're still lost in the woods. And Jeff really has to pee because he's had like 4 beers. So maybe we take a quick break.
Okay, fine, Jeff.
And then we'll come back and discuss the rest of this movie.
Yeah.
Okay. We're back.
Again. All right. Oh man, where are we? What happened last? This movie sucks. This
Again.
podcast sucks, man.
Okay,
Sorry.
no argument there. But so okay, everybody's out in the woods. Jamie and Peter are out in the woods. Jamie got hit in the head. They run back to the campsite again, apparently, and they find a body in a tree. I don't know whose body it is. I couldn't tell. But a body falls out of the tree. It's like hanging in the tree and just falls, and they're like, ah, and they run.
Right. Yes.
No idea whose body it was. And then they run through the woods and run through the woods and run through the woods, and then they make a campfire and they sleep. And they wake up, and Peter's like, ooh, we've made it. We've made it. Where we see what I thought was the police station.
And now what he saw was the chairlift for the ski resort.
Oh.
That's what the big poles were.
Okay. I was like, there's a zip line out here for no reason.
There's a massive power line running down this mountain that everybody dies on.
I really thought there's like a zip line here.
But they only ran like the killer he lives right off the friggin' ski resort. I mean, he's got like prime property. He just jumps in. He doesn't even get a pass. He just jumps in, skis down the mountain, rides back up to his house.
I mean, I don't know how you ski down a mountain with no snow, but
well, in the winter time.
Okay. Sure. All right.
Sure.
So they're like, we're saved. And then we just cut to they're either at the ski lodge or sheriff station or a hospital. I don't know where the fuck they're at. But they're discussing him talking about a wild man. And the sheriff says, could be a mass murderer. I don't want a circus. We'll handle this. And
yes.
then I have notes talking to nurse about Peter. Okay, so I don't want anyone to call me misogynistic or sexist because I wrote nurse because it's 1981. And I just assumed in 1981 in a slasher movie, it was a nurse, not a doctor. We found out later she's the doctor, which goes more into something I'll talk about later.
There's not much left. All right.
Yeah, no, there's really not a whole lot. So we don't see Peter escape, but Peter escapes. They're just talking, and then all of a sudden Peter's running through the woods. Because he's like, Joni. Joni's still out there.
That's right.
So, and then Joni's still running through the woods. She finds the cabin. She creeps around the cabin. It's like, oh, there's this box. What's in the box? She opens the box, and she's like, oh, my God. And then gets cut the fuck up.
Yes, she does.
Joni gets fucked up.
Badly, yes, yeah. Her clothes got ripped in places the machete didn't even hit.
Yeah.
All right. And still not one inappropriate nude spot.
No nipple slip, nothing. No, very Mormon. Like, no nudity. So then Peter's still in the woods, wandering around, like looking for Joni. Then we see the dude in the wheelchair for the first time.
First time.
So then we don't see the dude in the wheelchair. Now we have the deputy mounting a local manhunt.
Posse. It's posse time.
Yep. So a bunch of beer drinking rednecks like with guns, and they're like, let's fucking go get them. Then the sheriff shows up, and he's like, oh, bad news.
By the way,
yeah,
you got the posse. It's the sheriff's department. There are only 2 people in the sheriff's department, by the way. Well, 3. There's his secretary, there's the sheriff, and there's the deputy.
Yeah,
because everybody else had city uniforms on.
Which is funny, because then the sheriff says, well, they say it's a county thing, and we got to handle it, so we don't get a chopper.
Yeah, the National Guard. He didn't even go to the highway patrol or anything. He went right to the National Guard.
So we got to handle it. The deputy says, well, we don't have a copter. And the sheriff says, yeah, I know. We're going to have to walk in.
That's right.
So matter of fact, yeah, I know. We're going to have to walk in. This is like below Dukes of Hazzard level of policing.
Barney Fife was a police mastermind.
Right. He
compared to
was
the
their guru. Like, it is the worst police force of two ever.
Well, I mean, the sheriff is just stating the obvious.
I mean, yeah.
The deputy's an idiot.
Right. Which there's this point where you're like, oh, the deputy's a good guy. All right. The deputy actually cares and wants to do the right thing. The sheriff's like, I don't fucking care. Until you get to the end. Then you're like, nope, deputy's an idiot too. So another ruined moment in the movie, but
the sheriff does care. That's later.
Sorta, at times. So, well, I mean, it's not really later because then we see the guy in the wheelchair again, which, okay, before we get to the end of the guy with the wheelchair, who I didn't realize had like 4 scenes in this movie. Dude in a wheelchair
on a gravel road
in the mountains by himself. There's no lead up. Like, there's no mention of anybody like ditching him because they're like, fuck you, Franklin, you're in a fucking wheelchair, you're holding us back. There's none of that.
None of that. No, hey, just drop me off here because I want to go take a ride up the mountain.
No, it's just a dude in a wheelchair in the mountains on a gravel road by himself, just wheeling along. And can we talk about the music for a moment? Can we hear the music? Let's hear the music real quick. Let's
yeah.
So I found the wheelchair guys scenes all cut together, even though they're spaced out over 25 minutes of the movie. I found them all cut together, and let's hear it real quick.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so we skipped ahead, and that was the end of the wheelchair guy, but you get the idea of the music that's playing when we first meet the wheelchair guy, which is drastically different in tone than a lot of the movie.
Like, only after the opening.
Right. But from what's going on now, the manhunt and the sheriff, and he's like, we got a serial killer. And then we get that. Yeah, and then we're back.
So there's 4 wheelchair guy scenes. The first 2 are normal. The first one, he gets stuck on a pebble. The first one, he's fine. The second one, he gets stuck on a pebble. The third one, he falls over in his wheelchair.
We heard all of those together.
Yeah, and it's like, what? This guy's been in a wheelchair. He should know how to set up a wheelchair and get back in it.
Or to not go into the mountains on a gravel road in it.
On hills. Yeah. I know people in wheelchairs. They get along just fine, but they don't go out in gravel roads by themselves.
In the mountains.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, I've known people in wheelchairs too. Yeah. No, they didn't do that shit.
You don't go hiking. That's something you give up. I mean, paved paths, sure.
Right.
State parks. Yeah.
So to digress slightly, because we combined all the wheelchair guys and stuff together. In between all of that, we come back to the sheriff with all the people, the posse in the woods.
Right.
And he tells the deputy, tell him to keep one in the chamber and the safety off. With a killer like this, you may only get one shot, and I don't want to lose anybody.
Which sounds like you're going to lose a lot more than just what the killer would take.
Right. This doesn't make sense to me. I mean,
Eh.
yeah, there's a serial killer out there, but only put one bullet in the chamber because fuck. If you miss them the first time, you're fucked.
Well, no, that's it's the point, Jeff. You can put one in the chamber instead of not. If you have to, whatever you do, whatever rifle you have, if you have to put it up in there, you're taking time out of getting. But this killer's crafty. He's throwing friggin' spears made out of like warped tree limbs and shit. I mean,
right. And perhaps throwing darts because we skipped over like the dart at the guy at the beginning.
Oh yeah, but it's like seriously, it's like this guy's more accurate with a, limb than most people are with like a baseball.
Right. I mean, I guess I thought of just put one in the chamber or like a revolver. Like just put one bullet in.
No,
I don't want you having more than one.
It means cock that fucker and be ready to go with one shot. So if you get a second chance, you'll have to do that again.
Well, I mean, you should have said that because that's not how it came across.
Okay, 90% of these people are in the 90% of them had friggin' shotguns anyway. So it's like,
fair enough.
Yeah, you got one, double barrel. That's the thing.
Fair enough. All
Redneck
right,
posses all take double barrel shotguns. They got 2 shots.
All right, we talked
most of them,
way more about that scene than I thought we were going to.
But most of them blow their load in one shot, and it's done. All right.
What happens? So, the sheriff finds the cabin.
Okay, sheriff goes off by himself.
Right. The deputy's like, the
'Cause he
sheriff's
said
like, you
he
take
was-
all them along this ridge. And he's like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to go find the cabin.
No, he said, I'm going to go to the cabin. He did not say go find the cabin.
Oh, yeah. So it's like you knew where it was at.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, why the fuck is all this happening anyway? If you knew where
know
the
who
cabin
the killer
was.
is.
So sheriff goes to the cabin, finds all kinds of fucked up shit. The deputy scares him, but he almost shoots the deputy. And they find
that's
Joni.
after Craig's body fell out on him.
Right. Joni's body fell out on him.
Oh, I thought he was pulling Craig's body out at that
Maybe
time.
both. But I have in my notes, they're pulling Joni's body out of the house and Peter sees from the woods.
Oh, no, that was the second one. Craig is who he was pulling out first.
Okay.
And then the deputy shows.
All right. So that happens. Then back to the dude in the wheelchair. He's not dead yet. Then back to...
That's the one that he falls over in. That's
Right.
our comic relief at the height of the suspense.
Right. Then Dr. Maggie brings Ingrid in to the hunting crew, to the posse.
Okay.
This is where I realized, oh, okay, she was a doctor, not a nurse, and I feel like a fucking misogynistic asshole. But it was 1981, so I just assumed she was the nurse and she didn't have any other lines. We never saw any other context. But the sheriff actually calls her Dr. Maggie.
Right? Yes.
Right. So
I know
Dr.
that.
Maggie.
I caught that.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, I'm just an asshole. Okay. So she brings Ingrid in. She's like, well, I feel like if Peter's out here, maybe Ingrid will help bring him out. And they're
by the way, Dr. Maggie talks to like absolutely nobody but the sheriff in this movie.
Right.
There is no psychoanalyst or anything with these two patients. I mean, we don't have any interaction between the doctor and them, so
Right. She only talks to, we don't even see her talk to the patients. She just talks to the sheriff.
Yeah.
So, but she feels like bringing Ingrid in would be good because it might bring Peter out of the woods. So then all of a sudden, the wheelchair guy's killed. And then it's after dark.
It was a beautiful sunset.
Right. Then it's after dark. And Ingrid's gone. So Ingrid's gone. And Dr. Maggie's like, well, what about Ingrid? And the deputy's like, well, is she gone too? And the sheriff says, well, we can't go after her tonight. We'll get started in the morning. These guys need rest. And so Ingrid's in the woods now, and she just camps out overnight. And then it's the next day. And the killer's in the woods with the box from the house, just dicking around with the box from the cabin.
Right, yeah.
Peter is in the clearing, and he gets attacked by the killer.
Right. Yeah.
Ingrid shows up. There's a little run, go hide, and she does not go hide. She runs like 5 feet away and watches. Peter spears the killer. Then he is taken down by a rock to the ankle, of all things. And Ingrid and Peter fuck the killer up,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Well, Ingrid does have a machete.
Right. She took a machete from one of the victims that was pulled out of the cabin.
Peter's pointy stick.
Right. And they fuck that dude up.
Yeah.
Like, it goes on for a while.
Right. Yeah, it does. And then the sheriff and deputies show up.
Right. And they're like, oh, well, shit, this is all taken care of already. Then we see the box, and the toddler from earlier gets out of the box.
What?
Yeah. That's
I
what was in the box.
Man,
Did you fall asleep?
I might have had a blackout. I don't know.
So the toddler gets out of the box with an axe. Like, has an axe. I don't know where it came from. But it's a little axe. Little baby holding an axe. And the cops are like, well, fuck, we're all done here. And they're watching. And the deputy smiles at Peter and Ingrid and waves. And he's like, hey, cute couple.
All right. I know that happened.
And then the kid is still in the woods playing with the axe while everybody else leaves. They're like, yeah, fuck that little kid. And that's the end. We get the ending credits with the kooky, funny theme song.
Oh, yeah.
Which we should hear the theme song real quick. We should hear the ending.
We should.
Don't go out in the woods tonight, you probably will be thrilled. Don't go out in the woods tonight, you probably will be killed. There's a friendly beast who lurks about and likes to feast. You won't get out without being killed and chopped up in little pieces. Don't go out in the woods tonight, you probably will be thrilled. Don't go out in the woods tonight, you probably will be killed. There's a friendly beast who lurks about and likes to feast. You won't get out without being killed and chopped up in little pieces.
And chopped up in little pieces.
All right, so
The best ending credit song in the world.
Maybe on par with My Bloody Valentine. But
all right. Before you continue, I'm gonna rate this movie 3 stars. I'm not gonna tell you out of how many.
I'm gonna say out of 2.
It's a 3-star movie. You don't know how many total stars there are, people. All right.
All right. With all that in mind, I have some shit to throw down. Do you have anything to put before my shit?
Oh no, you go right ahead and I'll just make fun of you.
All right. So, for one, I'm so conflicted on this movie. And it really kind of pisses me off watching it. Because while I love the silly parts of it, it's so goddamn uneven that the scary parts are actually scary. There's not very many, but there are scenes that I'm like, that was actually really suspenseful and really spooky. And some of the synth music is actually combined with the footage of the woods and what's going on is actually really creepy. And the killer is great. The killer is fucking scary. The killer is like, he's like a leftover from The Hills Have Eyes. The killer's actually really scary. So I see, especially in the last third of the movie, like so much opportunity for it to be a good, scary movie. Like not as good as, but like up there toward The Hills Have Eyes and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay. Yeah.
But then it's ruined with these silly moments. And it just doesn't know whether it wants to be funny or scary. That's my first thing.
Well, yeah, and it's like they wanted to. It's like they added the kills, the extra kills. If it
Right.
would
So
have been just the four main characters and maybe one other kill, so we knew there was a killer out there.
right. You could have rewritten the script a couple of times and said, hey, let's give these four main characters a little more character. Let the viewers know like who they are, know a little bit more about them, make them slightly less annoying, and follow them, and then throw a few extra kills in just because it's a slasher-ish movie. Fine. Cut out like the goofy fucking music and the guy in the wheelchair, even though I loved it. I absolutely did love it. It felt like these were two different movies chunked together.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
on that note, I'm very conflicted. I do enjoy this movie, but I don't know. I'm mad that it's not either like a really silly comedy or a really kind of hardcore scary horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My other thing is, and I didn't really get this until the second viewing, it's really railing against the gender norms of the time. And I don't know, I doubt that was intentional from these filmmakers in the early 80s, but all of the girls are really not girly. Like the Ingrid and Joni are kind of butch, tough looking girls. They're not the normal girl you would see in an early 80s slasher movie. There's no sex. There's no girl gets naked and gets killed by the killer. There's none of that. The doctor is a woman, which I feel, being a child growing up in the 80s, I feel like in 1981, that's very against gender norms of the time. In the early 80s, you thought of like women in a hospital as a nurse, not a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Peter is very sensitive. He gets his feelings hurt really easily and runs off in the woods because he's upset about everything. Everything in this seems kind of like an upset of gender norms at the time.
Hmm. I think you put way too much thought into that.
I mean, maybe. I don't think that was intended, but that's on a second viewing, that's what really popped out to me.
You're also looking at it that Dr. Maggie was not a. I- Wasn't she a psychiatrist?
I mean, I don't think it ever said.
I don't think she was like, doctor.
But she was Dr. Maggie.
I mean, it wasn't like she was a surgeon that saved somebody's arm. It was very weak on the female doctor thing.
But even with that, like in 1981, like on St. Elsewhere, how many female doctors were there?
Yeah.
I mean, just looking back, it seems like it was very much probably unintentional, but it was very against the stereotypes of the time. And there's no sex in this movie at all. The only thing that comes close to having sex is a married couple.
Yeah.
There's no sex. There's no women get naked just to get killed by the killer. Like those were all tropes of movies at that time.
Right.
And none of that's in there. And maybe it is a Mormon movie. Maybe that's why those things are the way they are. But to me, that stands out to me. Watching movies from the early 80s where every other movie is like, oh, there's a really cute girl and she's taking her top off, she's gonna have sex and she dies. This doesn't have that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It is a little different that way. They did try to do things like, Throw in the roller skating girl.
who just disappears. Right. That was the sex appeal, was the girl in the roller skates who disappears and you never see
And
again.
actually, it's the brunette at the beginning that dies.
Right.
But
Because that was leading you. That was
As-
like, this is gonna be like Friday the 13th. This is gonna be
Yeah.
like all the other slasher movies that you've seen.
right,
And this
You
was
know, all
early in the
one-
slasher stage.
yeah, like all one of them, because you've only seen Friday the 13th.
Well, I mean, there was Halloween, there was Friday the 13th. There were a couple others early
Yeah.
on. I think My Bloody Valentine came out the same year.
Yeah, because
I'm-
this was late.
It was 81. So
Yeah,
Halloween
well,
was
it was-
78. Friday the 13th was 80. I think My Bloody Valentine came out in 81. 81 was the year when they all hit, because Friday the 13th was such a huge hit in 1980.
Yeah,
So this was the year that they all hit. And it stands apart from the rest of those movies because of that.
right. Yes. Okay, but I don't think it's that good.
I mean, yes and no.
Yes and no.
It's so uneven. Like, you can't really enjoy it as a really, really bad, funny movie, but you can't fully get into it as a full-on scary movie either.
Right. Like I said, they could have left out. I figured they had the first girl get killed and the fisherman get killed. And other than that, it should have been like the police trying to find, not even looking for the four main characters, but they save the four main characters at the end, where the killer's hunting down, or whatever's left of the four main killers, because they should, you know what I'm saying. That would have made it a true horror movie where you
Right.
didn't just have, like, wheelchair guy.
Right.
I mean, literally, it's their character names are the wheelchair guy, the artist, the fisherman, the kid.
Right. And that's fine for a couple of people in a slasher movie, but yeah, there were so many.
Mm.
And it was like and maybe it was just so early on, they just didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah,
Like, maybe if they'd shot this 2 years later, they'd be like, all right, we have kind of a formula. And we know what tone to keep it in. But it was like, I don't know if they were just like, I don't really know how to do this, or this is going to be funny and this is going to be serious, or if they were just that inept at writing
Right.
and filmmaking.
yeah, I like you said, everybody who worked on this names sound fake. So
Right.
except for the female lead actresses, because they all did stuff afterwards and used the
Yeah.
same name.
Yeah, tell
mean-
us what they did, because you did more research on this. than
Oh,
me.
I mean, well, Ingrid, darn it, I've lost that page. Angie Brown, who plays Joni, multiple Emmy winner, multiple Emmy nominee. She does a lot of, I guess it's field production stuff, but for A&E and Court TV. She won in her daytime Emmy for producing the season finale of Clean House. It's
I don't even know what Clean House is, but it won an Emmy.
Well, Angie was part of a team that produced the documentary, The Extremely Unexpected Adult Fans of My Little Pony.
Okay.
You don't want to go there. The show Intervention and Trace Evidence.
Oh.
But
So she's on board with a lot of shit that I fall asleep to listening to at night.
right. And then Mary Gail Arts, Ingrid, she became a casting director. And she was the casting director for, we'll scroll all the way back to the beginning of her career. Her first movie that she was in the casting was Halloween 2.
Wow.
Bad Boys in 1983.
Interesting. Interesting
she-
that she was casting director in Halloween 2.
And Lucas,
Oh,
she got credited as casting by.
interesting.
Here, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, Captain Ron, Hocus Pocus,
Wow.
Stephen King's Needful Things, Babysitter's Club,
I mean, those are mostly pretty shitty movies, but they're big movies.
Sugar Hill, uh, Last Man Standing.
Wow.
I mean, she's done Serendipity. There you go. We'll throw in a
Oh,
little
that's
Cusack
like,
for you.
oh no, Serendipity was all right.
And Cradle to the Grave.
Must Love Dogs was the Cusack movie that I hated.
That
Serendipity
nobody.
was all right.
Yeah, but she did, The Replacements with
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu
Whoa.
Reeves.
Whoa. Whoa. I played
Calm
football.
down, Jeff.
Played football.
Calm down.
Whoa.
Calm down. Calm down.
So Ingrid did good. Ingrid did good for herself. How about Craig?
Both of them. Oh, Craig has nothing on IMDb except for he doesn't even have a biography. He has known for Don't Go in the Woods.
He's also brother so-and-so.
We need to look that up, yes. Because we need to find out who the director was. Oh, full cast. Directed by, see, there's only one credit on IMDb, and that's James Bryan. Wikipedia has James and brother.
Okay. So what's IMDb show? Does the director, it's James Bryan, go on to do anything else?
Known for Hell Riders, 1984. A Nightmare on Elm Street sound department.
Oh, okay.
And
which is ironic considering how badly overdubbed the audio was on this.
Director of High School Fantasies, 1974, and is that Boggle Vision in 1977?
So those seem like softcore porn movies from the 70s.
Yeah. He has 21 credits as a director. I didn't even look at that. All right.
Huh.
Hell Riders, Executioner Part 2. Nothing you would have wanted to see.
But he Executioner Part 2 sounds awesome.
But he was on the sound department for like Stepfather 2. My Cousin Vinny.
Wow.
The sound editor for My Cousin Vinny.
Wow.
Sound effects editor on The Dark Half.
Okay. Nightmare
on Elm Street 4. Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Somewhere in there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is Creepy Craig went nowhere.
And everybody else did something with their life.
Something. Maybe nothing big, but something. Maybe a small part in something big.
Yeah. Peter did absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all.
He actually has, he Don't Go in the Woods in 1981, and then 2017 and 2016 were his other movies, and they don't even have those on IMDb.
Huh. So, kind of a cult movie. I've seen this movie get a lot of love, like in film groups and stuff. So, it's a really torn thing for me. I enjoy it. I did enjoy watching it, and I had way more to talk about than I thought I was going to.
Probably one of the only movies that I'd watch again that you've made me watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, but it would be more of this is background noise and I'm not paying attention to it. But
right.
But if it was on, I wouldn't be like, okay, I'm leaving.
Interesting. Well, I shared everything I had to share. I don't have any final thoughts.
I don't either.
On Don't Go in the Woods, unless you do.
I'm good. I told you. It's 3 out of something stars.
I'd give it a middle of the road. If, you're kind of like, like Friday the 13th, but past that, then maybe skip it. It's not going to be your cup of tea. But if you're a horror film fanatic and you haven't seen it and you like 80s movies, check it out. It's on multiple streaming platforms. So that's about it for Don't Go in the Woods Alone with Craig. That's the moral of the story, folks.
That's right. Craig will get your ass killed.
Right.
And try to rape you.
Right. You big bag of bitch. So I had no idea we would talk this long about this movie. It's kind of ridiculous. So thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah, if you're still there.
At this point, let's go ahead and spin the wheel of what the fuck and see what we are going to watch next week. Still going. Still going. And there it is.
What is it, Jeff?
It is Criminally Insane
Oh man.
from 1975, I believe.
Yes, it is.
And I don't want to give away too much because I know this movie. It's been probably 15 years since I've seen it, but I remember feeling dirty after I watched it and needing a shower. So that should be fun.
Okay. I've never seen it, so yeah.
So that's what we'll be doing next week. So again, thanks for hanging in there for this super long episode. Website is up, www.wthdidwewatch. Yes, I had to think about that. Don't forget to visit our sponsors, Atomic Cotton, for some awesome t-shirts, horror film themed t-shirts, atomiccotton.com. Check them out. That's all I got.
That's it.
All right, we will talk to you next week.
Later.